Awesome. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Unlicensed. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Jill. I'm the host of Unlicensed, and this is the anonymous advice podcast where women write in about any topic that they want each week. If you are struggling advocating for yourself at work, if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, if you are afraid to go to a psychic and you want advice on that, we literally cover absolutely everything. And you guys know we're doing all of our in-person episodes this season at Atlanta Basement Studios. So again, if you are an Atlanta creator, hit me up and I'll get you all the information to shoot and produce here. But as always, we are joined by our different female guests each week. I am so excited for today's episode. We are joined by Anokhi Patel. She is a social media influencer based out of Atlanta whose TikTok content focuses on all things lifestyle, fashion, travel, shopping, all the needs for the girlies. We were talking earlier, we actually met at our pickleball league, guys. We have the finals tomorrow, so wish us luck. We need it. At least my team needs it. They beat us last time, so they do not need it. But welcome to Unlicensed. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's going to be so good. Guys, we will let you know what we're talking about in a few moments, but as always, we like to know and get to know the guests a little bit more. So talk to us about first your social media presence. You're obviously doing influencing, and I did some LinkedIn sleuthing, as I always do. You're also working a full-time job, correct?
Yes.
So how do you balance the two, and what made you become interested in social media influencing in the first place?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I would say balancing the two isn't as bad as I thought it would really be. I guess I am trying to be disciplined, and that is the hardest part.
Yes.
Posting every day is something I try to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't set myself up for success. But I want it to be intentional. So it's okay if I miss a day or whatever. But
totally fair.
that is definitely something that I'm working on still. But it really isn't horrible. I feel like my content's very my life. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. So I don't really have anything crazy that I'm this has to go out. I have to get this done.
this.
Yeah. It's not like that. So I feel like the balance isn't too bad. With that, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I can't remember anything.
Short-term memory?
Often, yes.
Okay.
I was talking to my friends last week, and they're like, "Oh, do you remember this time we were in college and we did blah blah blah?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No."
No
was
idea
I
what you guys are
there?
talking about.
And they're like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh." Okay, and I was like, this is getting bad.
I need to film this stuff.
I need to remember stuff. And so a lot of it was just me with my friends being silly, having fun. Yeah. And then I started, I was unemployed for a little bit.
As we all are at some point, yes.
And it sucked, but it was a fun, creative outlet for me to do vlogs every day. And so that's kind of what started my vlogs, I say. Because before that I was just posting silly content or
TikTok trends.
Just trends or my outfit or something like that. I wasn't really taking it super seriously, but I just had fun with it. And then when I was vlogging every day, because I had nothing to do.
We got a lot of time, y'all, before dinner. So
there's only so much job hunting you can do. So I was like, okay, what's an outlet that I can have? And so I started vlogging, and I had a very different unemployment experience. I traveled a lot and
love that.
Very thankful for that, because I know that's not how it goes for everybody. And so I had so much fun getting to vlog all of that and just coming up with new ideas of spend the day with me in this country or blah blah blah, and and then I got a job. Yay.
Praise, thank you.
And I missed it. I didn't vlog for 2 weeks, and I'm you guys, this is so much fun. We could have had a little video made for it. So then I was like, you know what? I'm still gonna do it.
Love it.
Still gonna vlog, and so I love that. And I have recently been making one of my favorite kinds of vlogs are when my friends and I will all get together, and if we go out or a wedding or whatever, I will start it so tamed, here's how we start our morning. And then it's cue the music. And it is a music video, basically.
I love that.
Happens. And I love them. I am obsessed with them. And it sounds weird because I'm I love my content. But
you should though.
I love making it. And then we'll sometimes go back and watch them and just be do you remember that one night? We had so much fun on this trip. Or whatever. And we get to watch the recap or
capturing every single thing, which is so dope. I feel I have so many friends that have the worst memories, and I'm like, you guys probably should film every single thing that you're doing. But you made a good point of like, you are letting people into your life, which scares a lot of people. Have you always been someone who's more open, or have you been always a little bit more private, and then social media has like allowed you to be more vulnerable and open? Because especially with lifestyle content, like you guys are letting people into your lives. They're meeting your friends. They're seeing the places that you go to. They're seeing your family. They're seeing how you're interacting with people, which can be so scary. So have you always been a very open person, like allowing people to get to know that side of you? Or is this something that has changed for you since you've begun on the social media journey too?
Yeah, I will say, if you know me, I am an open book. I literally will talk to a brick wall about my life. Like I will meet a stranger and become their best friend. Yes. I'm like, here's my life story. Now you know it. Yeah. Like I am very open. And I think like that's why I love making the content, because it's like, no, look, like, I mean, there's days that I struggle and it's not all fun and dandy. And at first I never posted that, like, because I was like, no one wants to watch that. Like, no one wants to see me cry. Like, and then when I was unemployed, I did. And I was like, oh my gosh. But it was just so like, it was so fun. Like, not in that moment probably for me, but like, now, now I'm like, I get to look back on that. And like, also like, I feel like being unemployed is such a thing that like isn't talked about as much, I feel like, for people our age.
So
like,
true.
I never thought I'd be in that position. Especially so young. And so I had so many people like comment on my TikToks and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm struggling with this too. Like, how are you coping? Or like blah, blah, blah. And like somebody else, like, you make internet friends. And one of the girls like got laid off, and I was like encouraging words, because I'm like, I get it. Like, and I kind of love that, like, I get to do that. Like, and I am happy to be on the other side of it and like be like, there's more like coming, and like you can see that in my content, and like I love that. And so I don't know, I love letting people into my life.
I love it.
And I maybe should be a little more cautious about it, but hey, you know what? We're only here for so long.
So true.
So like, I'm going to have fun. And if you want to be a part of it,
be a part of it.
And if you suck, bye.
I was going to say, like, have you had to set boundaries with certain people part of your social media following? Because people on the internet, they really think that they are guaranteed, and like they have this idea that they should be in tune to every single part of your life, to the point that it can for some people. And you hear these crazy stories from some social media influencers, like it can be scary. Like people really are trying to get into all of this different information about yourself that you're sometimes not willing to share. Have you had a situation where you've had to set a boundary with someone who's like, I need to know this, or has it been pretty tame so far and it's been good?
It's been pretty tame.
Okay, that's good.
Which I'm very thankful for. But I am a little weird about like, when I am making a vlog or a video, I'm like, oh no, like your license plate's in it. Or like, I'm a little weird about that kind of stuff. Cause like, well, one, my friends didn't sign up for it. You know, like I'm not going to do that to them. But for me as well, I'm like, I don't want you to know where I live.
Yeah, no, like, you could definitely find me for my license plate. Yeah.
Like I don't want you to know that much about me. But I haven't had that issue, which I'm very thankful for.
Good.
But then again, it goes back to like, I'm just such an open book that
you're like, oh,
I'd be like, oh, what do you need? Like,
my address is at that point.
Gosh, could you imagine?
Oh, so terrifying too. One of my friends, she does social media influencing, and she was talking about the safety aspects, but also she was saying how the biggest hurdle for her was this getting over the fear of judgment. Like even being in public and filming and having your camera, and these people that live in Atlanta and all over seeing that from you and seeing you doing that. Did you ever struggle with having people, like being nervous about people seeing you film, and the fear of judgment, obviously from the internet, but honestly in person? Because at the end of the day, people on the internet are ruthless, but you also have like your fan base and the people that love what you're doing and putting it out there. But I think the people in public, honestly, when you're filming your content, can sometimes be the worst of the worst, because they don't give a fuck. They'll literally like stare you down like with the dirtiest look in their faces of everything. So how has that, like the fear of judgment, been for you too? I feel like that would be really scary for me in that aspect.
It is. I mean, I think I don't really know a lot of people who have not gone through that phase, but like you go through that phase and it kind of never goes away, I feel like. Yeah. Because I'm kind of over the hump now. Like that I like don't really get that nervous anymore, because I'm like, whatever. Yeah. Here's a free show.
Yeah.
You know? And so I like, It's an ebb and flow, like, you know, and I sometimes am like embarrassed. I'm like, oh no, like people can see us, you guys, like hurry up.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, no, this is so fun.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get over it.
100%.
And so I don't know. I feel like I sometimes still have those moments though, like especially in public.
Yeah.
Like you just don't want to be that person, but also like it's my shit. Like,
yeah. And
I
the people that are judging typically are the people that don't have, not that there's, some people are so invested into their 9 to 5s, but it's typically the people that don't have like a creative hobby outside of their like traditional workspace job. Most people would either think that's cool or just like mind their own business and keep it moving.
I feel like it definitely like honestly like influencing like all content creating like can have a negative connotation for a lot of people. Yeah. Which like sucks because like there's already that like prejudgment that like oh that's you're making a vlog like oh like whatever and I'm like
so much judgment. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just don't really care about your opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I love this and it's fun.
Yeah. Like it'd be different if you were someone super influential in my life or like my friends or my family or something like that. But I'm like kind of over it. And I'm kind of over like people like embarrassing, like being like, oh, that's embarrassing. I'm like, dude, that's fine. Yeah. That's your opinion.
Keep it moving.
Nobody is forcing you to do it.
Exactly. And no one's forcing you to watch it either. No. Like you can keep your little 2-step into the other side. Yes. Yes. I feel like there are so many negative connotations. I think a big one is probably people think that it's so easy. Like social media is easy and content creation is easy. And I think for someone who does it too, I think a lot of people, I would say, would find it difficult just because a lot of people don't have like the creative mindset to build whatever content that you are. But also I think it goes back to your like consistency point of like, it takes a lot of time, especially if you are doing it outside of your job. What do you want to say to people that are just like, oh my God, content creation, social media is so easy. Like, do you agree with them? Do you feel like you're someone that has a totally different viewpoint of that? Like, what does that look like and feel like for you in terms of those negative connotations, specifically about social media and content and video creation being simple and only dumb people do it kind of vibes is what I've heard at least. Yeah.
I would say then you make a vlog. You try it and call me after. Yes. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here like solving math problems. Like I'm not doing anything crazy. Yeah. But like it just takes a lot of time. It's very tedious. Like you don't think about like you have to voice this over. You have to edit every clip. You want it to flow. Like, what sound do I pick? Like, all those things. And I think people, like, forget that it is a creative outlet. Like, some people paint. Some people make videos. Yes. Like, you know? And, and you can do that, and that's okay. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I would say you do it, then tell me. You download the software on your laptop.
And then let me know.
Tell me how that goes.
And then let me know. No, I love that. And like the attention to detail too is such a big thing, I think, for a lot of people in social media. For your lifestyle content, my last question for you before we get into the advice for the episode, what is your favorite theme around lifestyle content that you really like to focus in on? So if that's travel, if that's like video vlogging, just general like with your friends, if that is like your try on hauls with clothes, like what is the one part of lifestyle content that you're like, I'm obsessed with this, it's my favorite part, I could see myself doing this forever?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'm indecisive.
So, it changes every week.
So I'm like, oh gosh. I would say right now for what's going on in my life, I am like obsessed with making my little recaps and my like weekend vlogs or things like that. Or if I'm like doing something fun on the week or during the week. I'm obsessed with that right now. And my favorite thing at the moment is like cue the music. And then like it plays. And it turns into this whole production that I just
your friends are like again? Yeah.
They are so I love my friends. Yeah. I love my friends so much because they are so supportive.
Love it.
In that. And they're like, oh my God, like I'll send them the vlog before I post it. And they're like, that's so fun. Like,
I love it.
So
and they're like down to be in all the videos and stuff.
To an extent, you know. I do have my friends that are more like outgoing and will be in like whatever. And then I have friends who are like, no,
I'm good. I'm set.
But you know what? That's okay. Yeah. Not everybody is the same. So like it's fine. Yeah. But they've always been supportive regardless. Yeah. And so like I do appreciate that. I feel like it's hard when you don't have that. Yeah. Because it's like then you kind of get into the people online and like that kind of stuff. So it is nice to have like
your support system.
What a cute video you made.
Yes.
Like, my friend whose wedding I was just at this weekend, she's like, I am 3 weeks behind on content, unfortunately.
That's okay.
But she was like, can you just hurry up and post when we get to my wedding weekend? Like, because she knows that I'll make a vlog, I'll make a recap. Like, and it's just fun, and we'll always have that. And it's just so exciting. And so I would say that's probably my favorite right now.
I love that. You really are capturing like these really cool moments. And I think people need to remember, like, you can still be very much in the present with social media. Like, it's not like you were constantly filming like and maybe in some cases you are for trips and stuff, but it's like you still have your moments with your friends where you're like present, listening to what they need, listening to whatever you guys are talking about too. Yeah. And then also able to capture these moments where you can look back and be like, oh my God, I totally forgot we talked about that. Totally forgot we did that, which is so cool.
It's so fun. I am the like content friend.
Yes. Yes. We're like, we know
all my friend groups. Yeah. And so it is fun because they're like, we know something fun's going to come out of this.
Yes.
Like,
we're getting a recap. Okay. Period. I love it. Well, that is a perfect place to head into our advice for today. Guys, today we are talking about actually kind of related to like lifestyle content stuff. We're talking about planning a trip specifically with friends, getting the trip out of the group chat. Because I know we all have a group chat. I'm the worst of it because I'll be the friend that's like, oh, after this day, after this day, after this day, and then never doing it. So we are talking about getting your group chat plans for a trip out of the group chat, onto the plane, onto the bus, wherever you guys are going, bus, train, we are doing it all. So this person wrote in and they said, I could really use some tips on planning a trip with friends. I've been trying to get a trip together with some of my new post-grad friends for over a year now, and it feels like we just keep talking about it in our group chat without actually making any plans. There are about 6 of us, and I'm kind of nervous because our personalities are all so different. I'm super type A, while a lot of my friends are more laid back, and I don't want to overwhelm them with too many details. How can I plan a trip that everyone will enjoy? So I'm super excited to get into it. We'll talk about some of your travel tips. We'll talk about some of your trips that you've planned with friends too. Okay, my first question for you is, have you always been someone to enjoy traveling? You obviously mentioned that like when you were unemployed, you got to travel a bunch, but did you grow up traveling with your family? Is this something that came like post-grad when you were like, I don't have a job right now, and so I'm going to take advantage of it and travel around the world? What does travel actually look like for you in terms of doing it either by yourself or with other people too?
Yeah, I would say so. Traveling has always like been a part of my life. And like from when we were kids, like, or we as in me and my sister, our family would go on road trips.
Cute.
And not just like, oh, we're going to the next state. No, like we're going to Canada from Texas. Like
not the Canada, Texas trip. Yes.
And it's not like, oh, a measly little trip to New York. Yeah. No, like we're going Texas to New York. Like it's like, oh, you know, they make planes.
Yes, we can fly, guys. You know this.
But my family always did road trips. I mean, obviously it is just less expensive.
Yes.
And I get traveling can get really expensive, especially for a family. Yeah. So it was super fun. My parents always made it fun, but I get car sick. So
no,
I hate a road trip. If I don't have to go on one, I'm not. Like,
wait, dude, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like, did you actually go to Texas to Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, so how? I don't understand. Like, did you have to just like put me to sleep? I'm taking like Advil and going to sleep. Like, I'm not dealing with this.
My poor mother. She's the one who had to deal with it. And I was a brat because I was like, I don't want to go.
It's like 20-hour trip.
Like, can you guys send me on the plane?
Yeah.
Like, and I'll meet
I'm
you
flying.
there.
8-year-old you, I will be flying first class. Okay.
I remember I skipped spring break one year because they wanted to drive down to Hollywood, Florida, which is like right by Miami. Yeah. I'm not sitting. My Nintendo DS was getting delivered. Like I was not wanting to sit in the car that long. And I was like, I'm not going. Like
I'm staying at home.
I was old enough to say no at that point. Yeah. But like when I was younger, my mom would put, this is so weird, but she would put medicine in a bottle cap and put water in it because I wouldn't swallow a pill.
Oh.
And so she would like dissolve it and then she'd bribe me with Skittles. And I would get to eat the Skittles after. So you had to like,
take it like a baby shot, and then the Skittles was your little treat after.
Yes. Oh. And like I would just try to sleep as much as possible because I like obviously I'm not sick when I'm sleeping. Yeah. And we'd always leave at like 4 a.m. And like
they're like trying to get on the road early.
And we never stopped. Like we didn't spend the night somewhere.
Oh, you weren't like stopping? Like, let's stop in Texas. I'm trying to think. Let's stop in Maryland and then we'll go to like Canada the next day. Y'all are like,
oh no.
Through the night.
We'll be in Canada when this car stops.
You wake up.
Like there is no stopping. We'd pack lunches, like we'd get bribed with fast food.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, we can go to
Burger
McDonald's.
King.
Yeah.
Like 11-year-old me was like, let's fucking go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, or like we'd stop. I remember we had an old car and it had a table in the back. So you
Oh.
could take the table out of the trunk.
Yeah.
We'd stop at a rest stop. And my mom would be making sandwiches at the rest stop. And so we've always traveled.
Yes.
And I recently found out, I didn't even know this, but which is crazy to think about, but I lived in India for 2 years when I was little.
Wow.
But I was like,
when you were like
probably like
four-ish?
2 or 3.
Oh my
maybe.
God. Yeah.
And so I don't really remember. Like I didn't go to school by then or whatever. And so I don't really remember it. My mom was like telling me some story and I was like, wait, back it up.
Yeah. I need
She
to
was
vlog
like,
for that because my memory's bad.
Like, where's the video?
I don't believe you.
And so I'm like, I had no idea. Like, that is crazy. So I apparently lived this whole other life I didn't know about. Like, we've always traveled. So, and then like college, like obviously, like you have your spring break trips. Like, you do all these things. And my best friend had moved to New York. So then I started visiting her, like all these things. But then really post-grad is when I took it to the extreme. Like I am never home.
Yeah.
Like
Every other week you're somewhere.
I'm somewhere else. Like that's always the running joke with people who know me. They're like, what country are you in? Are you in the state this week?
Yeah.
Like no one really ever knows because they also don't post in real time. And so I'll be like posting from the wedding this weekend, but my Instagram is like in Ireland. Like
they're like, how are you doing both? Like,
yeah.
I was there weeks ago.
Because I'm so bad at that. And I laugh. I say my friends are my PR team because we are picking pictures. Like we are doing all the hard work. Yes. And we're like, we got to get it done or else it's going to be like a month.
Yeah. We will not see this for a bit. We will not see it for a bit. No, I love that you're always on the go. I think there's people that like are very comfortable with not traveling. And then there's people like you that are like, every second I can have, if that's like in the States or somewhere else, like I will do it. What is your craziest travel story? I feel like you've been to so many places. We know about the car sickness too. I don't know if something went down in the car with your family, but when you think of like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this happened to me while I was traveling, what's the craziest thing that comes to mind for you?
Oh gosh, I'm like trying to think. There's been a lot has happened this year.
Okay.
Like solely this year of trips and just whatnot. But can't remember anything. So one of the things that quickly comes to mind, because I was talking about it earlier. Yeah. My sister and I went to England and Scotland. Okay. And her best friend lives there.
Very cool.
And she married a man there. Yeah. And so we went to go visit them.
That's my dream also, please. Give me like an English Scottish man.
Me too,
and I can just move there, please. Yes.
Like something foreign. Yeah. Like, I'm like, you're like, just come live with me. I'm like, all right, so
absolutely,
come
sure, yeah.
I'll move, I swear. But so we went for her bachelorette party. Okay. But obviously it's a long trip. So we were like, we'll be here for like a week or like 10 days.
Let's make a trip out of it. Yes. Yeah.
And my sister is not well traveled, which is so crazy because I'm the complete opposite. Yeah. And so I was super excited. She was very nervous, but I was so excited to get to take her and do that. And so that was super fun. But they have jobs and real lives and whatnot. So after the bachelorette party weekend, we like explored together. And then that next weekend, we all went to Scotland together.
So fun.
And so we went to Edinburgh and didn't have any plans. Like
y'all were like winging it for real?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, obviously we had a place to stay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was all we knew. And so I don't even think this is like crazy, but it was just fun, like winging it. And we literally would walk outside. Yeah. We'd find somewhere to eat. I mean, one night we were just trying to find something open. Yeah. And like ended up at this amazing Indian restaurant. Ooh. And like it was so good. But we went out one night and we just started following people. We're like, oh. I'm like, that sounds like a band. Or like, we're going. That sounds like a DJ over there. Let's walk that way. And then we'll see people walking.
People are like literally like looking behind. Like they're like seeing you following them. And they're like, what the fuck? These people have been following us for the last 20 minutes.
Like, these people are weird. Like, and so we just start following people. And, because, you know, if the people are going there, it's got to be fun. So first bar we go into, super, super Scottish. Yeah. Like playing Scottish music. Love that. I am like, just having the time of my life. Yes. Like, yes. And apparently they're like, their bachelor trips, the guy wears a kilt.
Oh, okay.
But, or I guess maybe they don't have to do this, but this guy did.
He was like, I'm wearing a kilt for my bachelorette. Yes.
Well, they don't wear anything under the kilt.
What?
Didn't know that.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Not even like a little Speedo type app, like just bare.
Yeah.
You're lying.
No. And so this was the first bar we walk into.
Yeah.
And, we didn't really pregame that well. So, like,
soberness started to hit very quickly. Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And get to the bar. I get a drink, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like vibing. I look over. This man pulls his skirt off.
No, just like balls.
And it was his butt, and I was like, oh my eyes,
dude. Actually,
yes.
Oh my god, that's actually insane.
To the point where I got a postcard and it has like a little man's kilt up and his little butt on it, because I'm like, I will never forget that moment.
You cannot. That's a little bit traumatizing. So yes, it's gonna be stuck. It's gonna be stuck in that brain.
And like nobody flinched. Nobody flinched.
Casual.
Nobody was like.
They were like, no, we're used to this. He's like, this is the third one today we've seen.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. You would not see that here.
No, absolutely. Immediately kicked out. I'm like thinking about Atlanta bars, like that happening in Johnny's or something. Yeah. Immediately escorted out.
They
like
would literally grab you by the shoulders and you're out of there.
You're out of here. With you guys not having the itinerary, do you typically like to plan your trips to that? Are you more type B? Like, I want to be in this place. I just want to explore. I don't want to have back-to-back things where I'm exhausted and then I feel like I can't even try any of the cool local spots. Or are you a planner? Is this the one-time trip that you were like, okay, I didn't plan this one, but typically you're like, we're going here, we're saying this? Because I'm thinking about traveling with some of my friends. I'm very laid back in terms of I will do anything that the group wants to do, but we need to factor in some downtime because I do not want to be exhausted. My best friend in the entire world, though, is the complete opposite. She is the one that's sending an itinerary like weeks before, like we're doing this. So what personality does that look like for you actually?
It's funny because when I saw what the advice was, I immediately like thought of a friend and like thought of things. And I'm so glad you asked. I'm very type B. I'm so laid back.
Yeah.
But the only thing is I have to be fed.
Oh, 100%.
I have to be fed. And if there is something that I was super like looking forward to do, like I want it in the itinerary, like if that makes sense, like
100%.
That is like if I'm excited about this or like if somebody else is excited about their thing, like we just have to fit that in.
Love it.
So like I'm very type B.
Okay.
But one of my best friends is very type A.
Okay.
She cracks me up because she will send out an Excel doc. And it has different tabs. It's going to have
tabs.
Oh yeah, there's tabs. It's going to have
shit.
Like the cost breakdown, the days breakdown, and then she always adds her outfits at the bottom. And it's so funny because she'll be like white sweater, jeans, brown boots, and it's like
you're like, actually this is helping with my packing list. So thank you.
I need to start doing that.
No,
but
actually,
she is like very type A.
Yeah.
But I honestly think a lot of times you need that because I am so not type A. Like. And then when we go on a trip, like we have our itinerary, there's lots of things going on, but a lot of times not everything goes as the itinerary goes.
A lot of the time, yeah.
And so that is a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh, don't be mad. Like, because that really throws off the dynamic sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
If someone is upset.
Yes.
And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Lord. Like, I don't know.
Like, we didn't get to do this thing or the restaurant they really wanted to try. Or we're just behind schedules. We have to skip something. Yes. And there are those people that get actually pissed on the trip, and it does throw the energy off a little bit.
It does. And so it's like I like the middle ground.
Okay.
Like I like the middle ground of having XYZ that I want to do, and then we can fill everything else like whatever.
Yeah.
But then I have another group of friends that I go on trips with, and we literally don't plan a single thing. Like we are suddenly sitting at home and we're like, food near me.
Yeah, literally Uber Eats. I don't want to leave.
We're like, oh, we probably should have like looked up what we wanted to do.
We probably should be doing something.
And so it's just funny, like my dynamics of friends there, but also like I'm pretty flexible.
Okay.
So I don't really mind like if somebody else plans the trip.
Okay.
I honestly kind of prefer.
Like I was gonna say, what personalities do you feel like you travel the best with? Do you like having the more type A people that you're like, planet, I'm sitting here? And then how important do you think it is for friendships, especially like female friendships, to kind of set expectations of what people are trying to get out of the trip before.
Yeah.
Because if you were going to Paris for the first time, there might be someone who's like, I'm there for the food. Like, I've already seen the Eiffel Tower. Like, y'all can do that. I'm going to do my own thing. And then someone gets mad because they're like, but this is a girl's trip. This like, why are you going by yourself? So what personalities do you travel the best with? And then the importance of setting expectations when you're traveling with the big friend group too. What does that look like?
So I would say this is hard for me because I'm very malleable.
Okay.
And like, I can really go either way.
Okay.
Like with friends, like, because I just know who they are. Like, I know that if I'm going on a trip with this friend, like, it isn't going to be like laid back, or it isn't going to be like
we are on it.
And I always say there's a difference between a vacation and there's a difference between
vacation
and traveling.
Yes,
like,
yes.
So like one of my friends, like we are traveling. So like we are up at 8 a.m. We are on the road.
Yeah.
Like, but I know that. Like that expectation's already been set.
Yeah.
So like I'm ready to go. Because I might be a little not a morning person.
Me
so
neither.
I'm a little grumpy in the morning. But like the expectation has been set. Like I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, gosh, I don't think there's ever been a trip I've been on that like there hasn't been a moment where I'm like, oh, you're annoying me. Like, you know, like
of course.
It can't be perfect.
No.
Like Instagram versus reality kind of vibe.
So
like,
true.
And that's just reality. Like no trip is just, oh my God, I loved every single day, like everything. Like we, like even my best friends, like they're like sisters to me.
Yeah.
So, and we fight like sisters too. So like we will get annoyed with each other. And then it's like, okay, but like, do you want to go get food?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
the sister thing. Like, I fucking hate you, but are we eating tonight together? Yes. Yeah.
So it's like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's never like no one's going to leave the trip. Like it's not going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been some trips where we don't come home with all the same friends, like, which sucks. But
I was
like,
going to ask you, have you ever had, and you don't have to mention names, but have you ever had a falling out with someone from traveling with them? I think I've been lucky that definitely the annoying thing. I think that's going to happen when you're
like
with
normal.
anybody for a certain amount of time. Like anything you could say when you're with someone for a certain amount of time, it's like they could breathe the wrong way and you're like, I'm gonna fucking hurt
Close
you.
your mouth.
Like, I literally can't deal with that. But like falling out, I'm seeing all these TikTok videos of people and they're like, never go to Miami sometimes. Or like, that's the place that will really hurt some friendships afterwards. Truly. But have you ever had a situation where you, even if that friendship didn't end, you may have left a trip and you're like, I feel very differently about that person, and not the most positive light and more of a negative light? Or if you actually had like just a falling out after a trip, because you really do see people's true personalities when traveling with them. Like they can't get away and get their quiet time. It's like we're together and sometimes you see the ugly, including myself. I'm like, I'm not a morning person. Like if you wake me up, like I will be a bitch. That's my thing. Don't wake me up. So what has that look like for you?
I would say, and it sucks to say that, but it's so true that like your friendships are really tested in those times.
Yes.
And it's not even like I'm a bad person or my friends are bad people. It's just like life. Like, you know, you see, I'm not dating you. Like I'm not your family, like to an extent. So like, it's like, I'm not forced to like deal with your stuff.
It's true.
Deal.
Yeah.
And like in the nicest way possible. But I mean, immediately come to mind. Like I had a falling out with a friend after a trip, and like to this day, like still don't really speak. And I'm a big, like, I don't hold grudges. Yeah. I'm like, I wish her well, like everything goes well in her life, like whatever. But you were just not a great friend to me. And I like, you can say all the things that you want to say, but like, I just don't want that in my life. And I'm okay with that. And it sucks because like, you know, you've probably done so many things with this person or whatever, like so many walks of life. But for me personally, like, I mean, this person was my friend for years. So like, it was just so, it was sad, but it was like, I just don't need that in my life.
100%.
Which sucks. But, and like, she even apologized like 2 years later, like about it. And it was just like, I really appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that you recognized like what happened was not great. Yeah. And like no way to treat somebody.
Yeah.
But like, I still have no hard feelings against you, but like, I still don't think I would like you in my inner circle kind of deal. So like, it sucks because you want to think like everyone's wonderful, everyone's great, every relationship is awesome, but like, that's just not life.
No.
Like, unfortunately. And since I don't remember everything all the time, I really let go of stuff pretty easily.
Which is actually kind of nice. Your brain's protecting you so much. In so many ways,
I'm
too.
Like, why was I mad at her? Like, you know? But, and that's okay. Like, it is A-okay. I'm fine with it. Life goes on.
Yeah.
I'll cheer you on from afar kind of deal.
Yes.
But yeah, that sucks. But I also, like, know the people I travel best with.
Yes.
And, like, are my people and that kind of deal. Because it is tough.
Yes.
It is tough.
Yeah.
Like, even just like, I just came home from a trip last week, and me and my best friend, like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we met in college, but
love it.
We were like riding home from Cape Cod, pouring down rain, and we're just like ready to be back in Boston.
Yes.
Like, it is the end of the trip. We fly home that night. Like, and I am like, what is that? What's that song like called? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, remember like when we were walking down the street and like that guy was singing it, like blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I remember everything. And I was like, oh, do you? Like, because she like took a pause.
Yeah.
And then she literally was like, yeah, I do.
Oh.
And like, we were both like, why is she being a bitch? Like, both of us thought like we were being like sassy to each other.
Yeah. Do you remember that song?
Yeah.
I remember everything. Like, it's just like the tone probably sounded so bad from both of your guys' POVs.
And we both were just like, she's kind of being ugly right now. Like, why is she doing that? And I just like sit in silence for like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, we're just like both looking at each other. Like, like I'm driving and I'm like,
this bitch is gonna be fucked up right now.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, what's the song?
Yeah.
She's like, that was the song. And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were just being a bitch. Like,
that was the song?
That's what the song was called.
When she said, I remember everything?
Yeah.
That's
what it's called. It's like a Zach Bryan song. And I was like, well, I didn't know that.
It's actually so cute. Like, literally like, communication error right there.
And like,
so funny.
But my best friend, I'll always travel with. We just booked a trip to Alaska, like with our other friend. Like, we're gonna be friends. Like, it's gonna be fine. Like, nothing crazy. But you have those moments.
Yes, that's gonna happen in any friendship. Like, you're gonna bicker a little bit. Like, that's honestly when I feel like it's kind of in family status with a friend where you can be a little sassy and be a little something and know that you guys are still gonna be good after the trip too.
Yes.
Which is so important. Do you feel like it's important, and I don't know with your personality because you just seem like very chill or whatever, but do you feel like it's important after trips to like give yourself some space from friends sometimes, even if it was a great trip and you're like, I still love them, but I just spent 2 weeks, like normalizing not seeing them the next day? Because I'm someone that gets probably very annoyed with people like fairly quickly, more than I would like to admit. And so after any trip, I'm like, I love you to death, but like, I'm good with not seeing you for like a week and then we're set. Because like we caught up on everything. There's no updates. We're so fine. So what does that look like for you post trips? Are you immediately hanging out with people you just traveled with? Or are you like, I'm good, I'm set, I'll see you guys next month? Like, I'm okay. What does that look like for you?
I hate being alone.
Okay.
Until I want my alone time.
Okay.
So like, I'm very hot and cold, which sucks, but I like, you never know what you're gonna get. But I love like having a busy schedule, like seeing people, like all those things. I think for me, I don't mind seeing you after a trip kind of deal. I just don't know if it will happen though, because I normally like my schedule's pretty booked out. And so I'm like, oh, well, I have dinner with this friend, or like I'm doing this that night. So like I can see you in a couple days or like things like that. Yeah. But I really don't mind. Like, but I do, coming home from a trip, need a day or two to like decompress. Yes. Be by myself. Yeah. Kind of catch up on whatever the heck is going on in my life. Yes. Like, but I will also then FaceTime my best friend and be like, hey girl,
want to hang out and get dinner tonight? I just saw you for 6 days for sure.
Literally. Or just like suddenly we're on FaceTime for 3 hours. Yeah. Like, and so it really just depends on like the trip. Like if I'm exhausted, I probably don't want to speak to people. Yeah. But it just kind of depends, I would say. Yeah. I'm not a super, I need a big decompressed time kind of window, though. I will say that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like how much you were traveling, like if you're set. Because, a trip to Florida is going to look very different from a trip to like Spain or like where you guys are going or whatever that looks like too.
Yeah.
What has been your most memorable? I know the memory over there is a little crazy, but now that we got our vlogs, what has been your most memorable trip with some of your girlfriends? What made it so special? Why is that trip like such a special moment for you and something that you remember? Is it just you got really close with people on the trip? Is it the place that you were like, what's one trip that you remember going to with friends and you're like, I will never forget this trip for the rest of my life. It was amazing. If you have one, and you can name a few too, because you've been to a lot of places.
I was gonna say,
so it might be hard to narrow down.
There's been a lot of girls' trips, I will say, and a lot of bachelorette parties, like things like that. I would say I'm gonna go top 3 of what I can remember that I've done this year.
Yeah.
One, I would say, so me and some of my girlfriends went to Yellowstone and the Tetons and did like Jackson Hole and
love that.
Bozeman, Big Sky, all that. Went to Idaho one night. Like we did a big road trip, and that was like a little out of my comfort zone in the sense of we flew there, but then like obviously you have to like drive through Yellowstone, you have to drive to the next state, and like I was the only one who could drive because I rented the car or whatever, so I was like, oh, this is miserable.
Everyone else is like vibing or sleeping in your
Everyone's like taking pictures out the window, and I'm like, you guys send it to me. But it was just so much fun because one, I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And that like pushed me to go do it, even with the 6 hours of driving some days. But it was with one of my best friends and 2 of our other friends that I am now like closer with. And I would definitely say like one of the girls on the trip, like I became super close with after or like during, like through that trip. And then after we were super close. And, I just like, I'll always remember that trip. It was so much fun. It was just like something we all got to experience for the first time as well.
Love that.
And so that was super cool.
Yes.
And then I think of one of my favorites is me and my 2 other best friends from college. Our friend moved to Miami. We started visiting her every year.
Oh my God, the Miami
like,
trip, yes.
It is like, it was the trip like that we look forward to every year. We like added a friend on in one year.
I love
like
that.
It was just
the annual trip.
Yes.
Love that idea also. I think that's so important.
Much fun.
Yes.
And like also we're adults, like it's hard. Everyone has a job. Everyone's like either married, not married, like engaged, planning a wedding, or like having a baby.
Yes.
Like so many things are happening.
Yeah.
So it is truly so hard to get people together sometimes, especially when you don't live near each other. And so like she's always been like a constant, like a college friend that we love so much. Yeah. And so like we just go everywhere she goes.
Yeah,
like,
right. We're following you again, girl. She's like, please stop.
And so I just will always remember like our trips to Miami. Yeah. And she ended up moving to Austin. So
nice.
We went to Austin this year, and it's like
so fun.
Oh, we will be back next year.
Like, this is our annual trip now, girl.
Yes. We're like, anywhere you move, we're just gonna have to visit.
Once a year. Same month, same everything. Yes.
And so I like the Miami trips will always be my favorite, and I want to do that again. I literally texted those girls being like, you guys, like, should we just go back to Miami? Like, I know like you don't live there. And she's like, oh my gosh, down. Like,
I love that.
Next year, like, let's get that planned. Yes. And I'm like, perfect.
It's
like,
happening.
I need that. I want to be at the club all night, leave, and watch the sunrise.
Yes.
Like, and like just have my girls like have the time of our lives.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so I think those would probably be my favorites. Like,
those are
fun.
Such a good one. I
like,
love that
so
you guys
fun.
do the annual trips. That's something that me and my friends will try to see each other. We've been so bad, but we try to see each other like once a year, my college friends specifically, but we never go to the same place. So I love the idea of like going to like a central place that you're like, okay, we did this last year, we can do it again.
Yeah.
Do you try to balance wholesome activities on your vacations, traveling with friends, with some more fun going out nights? Because I'm someone that's like, I love to go out, like not all the time, but I'm like on like on a trip, on a vacation, like we do have to, if we're in Miami, like we have to go to a club one night. We have to do it. But also the beach is there. So I want to have a beach day. Are you someone that tries to balance both, or does it just depend where you're going? If you're going to like a more traditional place, for example, you may not do as much outside time,
Yeah.
outside time,
Outside time.
outside time, but like in the clubs and shit versus
Yeah.
like if you're going to somewhere where it's more known for that in the city. What does that balance look like for you between the two?
Okay, so I would say I'm a happy medium.
Okay.
I like if we're gonna go on a trip and let's just well, I don't know because but I'm like thinking of all these things. Like I
Yeah.
think of recently we just road trip through Massachusetts, Vermont,
So
and
fun.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Super wholesome activities like fall foliage, like
Mhm.
these cideries, like
Amazing.
all these little things. Like we got to go to the Sound of Music, like the Von
Oh,
Trapp property,
yeah.
and
Wait,
like
that's so sick.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Like we did a little Highland cow like tour because they have a
Mm.
bunch of Highland cows, and so
Yeah.
I got to go in there and do that. Like
Amazing.
went to the Ben and Jerry's factory.
Oh, y'all were like
like
hitting a bunch.
oh no, we weren't gonna skip a thing.
Back to back.
We were traveling. We weren't vacationing.
Yes, that was
trip.
travel. That's definitely
Yes.
travel. Yes.
But, like we did a lot of like just wholesome fun like
Mhm.
activities, and we had a lot of early mornings too though. So
Okay.
it's like we don't really want to be out all night because like we have to wake up at 8 a.m.
Yeah, yeah.
But like there was one night that was the night we go out, you know?
Mhm. Factoring
And
it
so
in. Yes.
it's just like if it works, it works.
Yeah.
But also like my friends, I always say we're just fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun if nobody is in this bar.
I
Like
love
we're gonna
that.
have fun if it's packed. Like
Yes.
it doesn't matter.
Yes.
And so we went out in Boston,
Yeah.
had the time of our lives.
Yes.
Like just running from bar to bar, like
Yep.
doing whatever. But then like I think of when we were in Bozeman, we went to this
Mhm.
like random bar,
Yeah.
not a soul in sight.
It's
We-
the bouncer and you guys.
No,
and that's
literally.
it.
And then all of a sudden we had taken a swing dancing class
Uh-huh.
like earlier that day. The
Yes.
people that we were swing dancing with ended up at the bar. We
Wait,
were like,
really?
we're like, what are you guys doing here?
Wait, that's actually crazy.
And so then like it just turned into so much fun. Like
Mhm.
we made friends with the bartender. Like we were
Love.
swing dancing on the dance floor. We
Yes.
were cracking up with each other. Like some guy was like on his computer at the
Yeah.
bar. And you know, you like on Snapchat, you make like a black screen and
Yes.
type something.
Yeah, yeah. And you're like,
was like,
holding it up.
Are you in school? Like, are you doing homework? And he was like just like stupid stuff like
Yes.
that is so much fun. But like we also did so many other things on that trip of like doing the
Mhm.
national parks. Like
Yes.
went on a gondola ride. Like we're supposed to go horseback riding. It got canceled. But
No.
the rain. But it was okay. It was my activity, so I was a little upset.
Mm.
But who was gonna go out in the rain? Like, you know,
On the
like that is
horses.
something I cannot control, unfortunately. And God didn't answer my prayer of
Yeah.
sunshine, apparently.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Rain for that day.
But like, so we did like we have all these other activities, and if it fits in, it fits in. But
Mhm.
I will say I do always love like one going out night.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like it can be like a nobody bar.
Yeah.
Or it could be literally the most packed place ever.
Yes.
But like I just want to have like girls' night. Like
Yes.
kind of deal where we get to let loose.
Let loose.
and
There's
have
none
fun.
of the boys around. Like we are just doing our
Yes.
thing. And that is so cool. I love how you describe that in terms of like factoring in both things.
Yes.
Obviously, all these activities after a while can become a little bit expensive. How do you
Yes.
go about setting expectations with friends about budgeting and finances? Because I
Yeah.
think money and finances probably from our society, but it's very difficult for people to like talk about with their friends about how
Yes.
much they make and how much they're willing to spend on a vacation and how much they're willing to not go. I think
Yeah.
you see that a lot of the time on bachelorette trips, even more
Yes.
so. Like, I don't want to be the one person that's like, I cannot afford this, but I will be the one person that's like, I want to go on the boat, y'all, but it's either the boat or this. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do both. You guys can do the boat, but that means I'm going to be at the house. How do you go about talking about finances and budget expectations with your
Yeah.
friends? Because it can be like a little bit of an uncomfortable topic to talk about
Fair.
with anyone, really.
Yeah. I think so. My type A friend,
Mhm.
well, she's got the budget. Like she,
Yeah,
she
said.
has like
those
planned-
tabs in that Excel. Oh, I
Yes.
know she's got the budget.
She's
Yeah.
got the priced out of everything. It is all done for me, which is very sweet of her.
Yeah.
But that also really helps. And then there'll be things like this cow tour
Mm-hmm.
wasn't on the itinerary.
This gal tour.
And
yeah.
it was like $20.
Yeah.
And we were like, wait, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Like, this is fine.
Yeah.
But like hotels, like places to stay, like
Mhm.
car rentals, like all those things do get so expensive.
Yeah.
And so once again with her though, like she has always like hotel room night one, like $80, like whatever it is.
The breakout.
It's broken down.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this all started with a PowerPoint night of where we think the girls' trip should be.
Okay.
And she is the type A person she is, and
Yeah.
it's all broken down in there. She goes, you guys, I know the price is a little high. It's a little expensive.
Yeah.
But we have 8 months to budget it out or like save money.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's not do dinner out. Why don't we like make a meal in this week or something like that?
Yeah.
And so that definitely helps a lot. And then I also feel like I am the first one to be like, I'm down for anything, but like, can we do like a budget friendly trip this time or like something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times, since we are kind of all in the same walk of life to an extent, everyone's on the same page.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I had a friend who she was very bougie, like all the nicest things. Like, we have to go eat out here. We have to do this, like, yada, yada. And
like, girl, I can't be eating at Nobu every weekend. No.
I'm like, I do not want to be in credit card debt. Sorry, sister. But I will, like, I know that about that person.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm less likely to go on trips with them because I just know that that's what's going to happen.
Totally fair.
And, or if I do go on the trip, it's like, okay, well, I'm not ordering the lobster and like this, that, and the other. Like, I know, like, I shouldn't spend that much money on it.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, there are things like you want to be on vacation and not care, but like realistically, like, that's just not a thing.
Yeah. It's going to add up.
It will.
Yeah.
And like some of my friends like will be like, well, let's do one nice dinner and that will be our expensive meal or
Love
whatever.
that idea. Yeah.
And then every other night, like if we have a kitchen, it's like we can cook or we can go get lunch somewhere or like do more budget friendly restaurants. Like we don't have to do
every single night is like crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yes. Yeah. It does not have to be like that. But like that's the things you have to talk about it. And I get it. It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel bad because I don't think this is great advice because I've just been with my friends for so long that we are all just used to each other.
Comfortable enough to have those combos.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is hard to an extent, but it's not really for me because I'm like, okay, but is this actually in the budget for you? Or, like, just tell me now before I plan for 4 people
exactly.
or like 3. Like those kinds of things, I'll just ask you straight up.
Yeah.
And I always am like, I'll put in like a parentheses or something and be like, you can say no, like, it won't hurt my feelings. Like, it is totally fine.
Feel free to like put this one down. We don't have to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit to like build up the courage
the
to send the
text.
text.
Of it. Yeah.
I never want to do it on a phone call because I like if I have to have that conversation, I just feel like I want you to see like my face or like whatever.
Because tone can be so misread over a phone call too. That's such a good point.
Yes. So like a FaceTime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like in person or if it's something smaller, I'll send a text. But like for the most part, my friends are super comfortable with being like, hey, like, can we not do this? Or like, hey, can we do like budget friendly something or like whatever?
Let's make options for both.
Yes.
I love that.
We can compromise and come to like, these are my expectations. And if those are yours, like, okay, let's try to find a middle ground somewhere.
Yes.
And so that definitely helps.
Yeah.
But it is just having that conversation. My whole thing is I'm going to go with or without you. So I need you to just tell me now.
So like, I don't plan for an extra person, but I will be there.
I am so like my feelings will not be hurt because I get it. Like I have the luxury to do this. Like some people don't, and that's okay. Like not everybody needs to be traveling every month. Like that is just not it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's just having that conversation. Yeah. Being comfortable with it, and this sounds bad, but like you'll see someone's true colors, and like
so true.
You don't need that person
in your life then.
Yeah.
That's
or traveling with you, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's people I know that I don't really necessarily want to travel with.
Yeah.
Like I don't like traveling.
Yeah.
so I don't want you
we'll
on
get
the
dinners
next
when I'm in
trip.
town. But that's kind of the extent. I think that's such the perfect advice, especially with you can learn a lot about a person about setting financial boundaries for yourself. And if they're like, well, why can't you do it? And not like kind of meeting you where you're at, that does show a lot. I love that you brought up, and the same thing for like choosing a place, because I feel like some true colors can come up for that if someone's like really gung-ho about they want to go to a place and everyone else is like, dude, we cannot afford like a $1,500 a night trip to this place. It's not going to work. You mentioned the PowerPoint party. How do you guys typically choose the places that you want to go to? Because I think especially in my friend group, we're all very opinionated people
Yeah.
and also at the same time very relaxed. So I'm like, I'll go anywhere as long as it's budget friendly. But then I have some friends that are more well traveled than myself. So they would know places that we should not absolutely be traveling to versus not, which I wouldn't know. So maybe my little PowerPoint is that, but they have something completely different.
Yeah.
How do you guys come to a consensus, a group choice of where you ultimately want to end up going to?
That's a good question. I will say I'm pretty easy.
Okay.
So like if it's somewhere I've never been, I'm probably in.
Yeah,
like,
I'm down.
I'll go.
Yeah.
But this PowerPoint night specifically, we all like picked somewhere in the States.
Okay.
Like it had to be in the country.
Yeah.
And ideally budget friendly. Like if we can drive, great.
Amazing.
If we can't, like flights cannot be $700, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so we all made one. I'm like trying to think what everybody's was because my friend who like won technically, she did one. She did two.
Okay.
Because she was like, this is the one I really want to do. But like this one would be like budget friendly.
Okay.
Like, you know?
She's like, I'm giving y'all options. You should be happy with that. Yeah.
And and I remember mine was like, I think I did Charlotte.
Okay.
I'd never been there.
Okay.
And so I did that and I did a horrible job researching because I put that we could go to, I think it's the NFL team, the Panthers game.
Yeah. They're the Panthers, I think. Yeah.
You think?
I think so. My brother lives there and I'm almost positive. No, is it not?
No, you're right. I put we could go to the Jaguars game.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Where Trevor Lawrence plays. Like
I don't even know these people.
He's the quarterback and he was the quarterback at Clemson and then he got into the NFL and whatever.
Is this like the one that everyone's obsessed? No.
No, that's Joe Burrow.
Okay,
I knew
that. You knew exactly who I was talking about.
I'm like, Joe,
that man is fine.
This. Yeah.
I was like, I know she's on the wavelength. She knows who I'm talking about. Okay, yes.
So handsome.
So handsome.
Trevor, I think he's like married and has a kid now, maybe.
Okay.
Wholesome man.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about him. But I thought in my PowerPoint, I'm like, you guys didn't go to a Jaguars game? Like, blah, blah. And everyone is dying laughing. And I'm like, yo, I don't think Charlotte was that crazy. And they're like, Anokhi, that's not their team. Like,
they're like, wrong place, girl, wrong place. Oh, shit.
I'm like, oh, mine clearly didn't win because I didn't know anything about Charlotte apparently. But yeah, we just kind of went and like presented our things.
Love that.
And then it just kind of came down to like, all right, are we going to actually do this?
Okay.
Like, are we actually going to plan something?
Yes.
And then here's where our type A friend comes in and she's like, well, I already planned everything.
Oh.
And
well, we might need to do that trip.
The
then.
money breakdown.
Yeah.
Like, you know? So
yeah.
It was like, perfect. And we kind of just went with that. And me and her both, well, she wants to see all 50 states. I want to see all 50 states before I'm 30.
I love that.
So like we're trying to count them down.
Yes.
Because I've got 4 years left.
You got this, girl. We got to hit some.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was just, to me, it was an easier choice. A little hesitating. I don't know if that's how you say that. But I was a little hesitant. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I was a little hesitant on going just because of the cost. But it definitely makes me feel better when things are planned in advance.
Yeah.
Because then I can budget for them, for big trips at least.
Yeah.
Little trips, I'm super like, all right, let's just go. Like, because I mean, normally when they're little trips, they're not as expensive.
Exactly. That can be like a quick little weekend getaway type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it seems like with you guys, the PowerPoint, but then kind of the person that comes the most prepared is going to be the one.
Someone who's
to
going to
lock it in.
Yes. Yeah. Like, pull the trigger, like, do it because I am trying to be better at being that friend.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I have anxiety too because I'm like, well, I don't want to plan this trip and nobody have fun.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Or like
then they're looking at you like, really, it's day one.
Yeah.
That is a lot of pressure. I didn't think about the person that actually decides the place having that amount of pressure because everyone else may not be having fun, which probably would never happen. But I get the like the fear
that,
of that
anxiety. Of just like, well, I don't want to say buy the tickets and then like something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And like we just booked a trip to Alaska and me and my friends were like do we press it? And they're like, you guys we got to do it. Like we're going. Like, and so it's just like, I'm trying to be better at being that friend to be like, let's just do it. Because sometimes things like get lost because of that. Like that's the like bottleneck in the situation.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad. And I'm like, I will never be this young. I'll never be this hot. I'll never be this like healthy either. Like to be able to do all these things. Because although like I'm on the go a lot, I'm not going to be 95 and on the go every week.
No.
Like, you know, like it's my time to do it. It's now, like,
That
kind
is
of deal.
so true. Like,
So,
this
like,
is the time to do it, especially
yeah.
because this is when we are the hottest.
Yeah.
So we're
Keyword
hoping to
on
get a lot
hot.
more
Yeah.
shit for free on these vacations too, which is so cool. No, I really do love that advice. And I think it's so cool to hear about your friendships because it seems like you guys are all so different, but
Yeah.
obviously you guys manage so well traveling together. And I think that's what a lot of people have anxiety about is traveling with their friends that
Yes.
might be so different than them. So once you actually decide on that place, what are steps that you typically take to get those plans out of the group chat? I'm sure
Yeah.
you've faced it before. People are talking about all these places they want to go. We should do this in April, and then it's May, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, guys, April passed already," and it's like, okay, none of us were really serious about this. Then
Yeah.
no one took the initiative to plan it. So, do you feel like you just need that one type A friend in your group who's like, "I planned everything. You guys just Venmo me, and we can make it happen"? How do you actually get the travel plans out of the group chat? Because my
Yeah.
friend group, we're struggling with that. I can
Yeah.
say, actually.
I will say, I mean, recently, especially, like, this whole Alaska trip, like,
Mhm.
we have been thinking about going for like, we're supposed to go this year,
Yeah.
like 2024. Didn't happen. Surprise. So, like, that's something that didn't make it out.
Yeah.
But one of our friends from college lives there.
Okay.
And she was in my sorority, like, in our friend group, one of our best friends.
Love it.
And she's like, come visit. Like, come visit. Like, come
Damn.
on.
I have no excuse at this point.
I
Then.
know.
Yeah.
And, like, we were like, okay, we're going to come next year. And
Yeah.
that was this year.
Okay.
Did not happen. A lot happened this year for everyone
Yeah.
in that group of people. So, like, understandable. But we got my first step on a trip, put that flight alert on. Like,
Ooh.
put a flight alert on, like, Google Flights, because
Love that.
as soon as they drop
Yeah.
in prices, it makes it so much better. It's like, you got a
Yes.
discount.
Yes.
Like, you
Yes.
know?
And then you feel like more confident in your decision there. Then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is, like, probably the first thing, like, all of my friends do is,
That's
like,
really smart.
look at that, especially obviously if you're driving, like,
Yeah.
like, look at other places to, like, rent
Yeah,
cars
yeah.
or, like, whatever, like, you need to do for that. But that's the first thing I do, and that is
Great
where
advice.
it starts getting more serious, because then I will start sending, like, oh, like, it is $400, like, y'all, that's the lowest it's been. Like,
that's probably
or-
the lowest it's gonna be.
yes, or
Let's
like, my
lock
friends
in.
will do that. They'll be
Yeah.
like, hey, like, I just saw this,
Yeah.
like, should we do it?
Yeah.
Like, kind of deal. And it's always like a real quick phone call of, okay, like, if we buy these tickets, we're going.
Yes.
And so, like, speak now or forever hold
Yeah.
your peace.
If we buy it and if
Yeah.
you try to back out of this once I bought my ticket, like, not gonna happen.
No, we're
Yeah.
buying the tickets
Yeah.
together. Like, we are
on
hitting
FaceTime. I want to
confirm.
see you click
Yes.
that button. Yeah.
And so we'll do that. And it's also hard because then you have to pay for it then and there.
Yeah.
And, you know, if someone's not expecting that, that can be a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
But I will say one big thing is, I guess not everybody has credit cards, but if you do or don't, like, depending on that,
Yeah.
like, it is like, okay, is this something you can do right now? Like,
Yeah.
if not, like, either I can get it for you. You can
Yeah.
just Venmo me when you get paid,
Yeah.
or, like, whatever. Like, me and my friends are pretty, like, flexible with that kind
Love
of
that.
stuff,
Yeah.
because once again, we've been friends for so long, like, we would never.
And there's like loyalty, you know, no
Yes.
one's gonna like
No
fuck
one's
you
gonna
over.
mess
Like, I know you're
anything
gonna
up.
pay me back. We're
Yes.
set. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
also poor, so, like, we are buying, like,
Me
basic
as
plane
hell,
tickets.
yes,
Like,
yeah. We are basic economy all the way in the back
Yes.
by the bathrooms. Don't worry, guys. We're not trying to do first class for this.
well, then
Yeah.
you can't get a refund. You can't pick your seat. Like, all these things go into it. So it's like, no, like, we're going.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
The no refund.
Because then we are
is-
out of
yeah.
this money.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
so it just is like like, okay, like, we're going to do it.
Mhm.
And then I would say, like, the biggest thing is, like, just communicating,
Yeah.
like, telling your friends, like, hey, I really want to do this, like,
Love
this
that.
year. Do you guys think it's, like, possible for y'all to do it too? And it's like, yes or no.
Yeah.
And then that kind of takes that to, okay, like, should we do a different trip then? And would that make it better for you?
Yeah.
Or, like, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to talk about it. And,
Yeah.
like, it is hard because not everybody's the same. And, like, not every friend is going to be so open about their feelings and be like, no, I want to do it. Or
Yeah. Or like,
"No, I
oh,
can't
just
go."
count me
Yeah.
out for this one. I can't afford it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard. And I get that.
Yeah.
Like, that, sometimes I don't know why, like, money is such a sensitive topic, because it's not with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, so it makes it easier to be, like,
upfront with each other.
yes,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
one of my best friends, like, has her apartment, has
Yeah.
a car payment, like has to live
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Like, and she was like, do you think we're still doing this trip? Because like, I don't know if I can do like this big trip and this
all
one.
of these
And
other
I'm like,
things. Yeah.
no, we can cut that out, or we can move it to another year. Like we can move it down a couple months.
Yeah.
Like it, but you just have to be open.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be able to communicate
Yeah.
that and be like, hey, this totally works for me, or hey, it doesn't.
This is not going to happen for me this
And
time
I will
around.
nag you.
Yeah.
Like I will text you like twice if you have an answer.
I need a friend. Actually,
Like,
I have a
yeah,
friend
yeah.
like you. Yes, I have that.
And I'm like, if you say no, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I just need you to say it.
Yeah.
Because
I just need
then
to
I
know.
know that like, okay, well, if we all still want to go on a trip, let's find something else.
Yes.
Or if I still want to go on this trip and you are okay with like not
Yeah.
being in the group of people,
Then I'm going to book my flight today.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is just, it's sticky and it's different for everyone, because it's like some people will do so well with that and some people won't.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's how you'll learn if you like to travel with those people or not.
No, that is great advice. You really do need, I think you said it perfectly. You have to be direct and upfront with your friends about what you actually need. But most importantly, you do need the friend that's like, guys, I really actually want to go on this trip. Like, not even nagging. It's like you're being intentional with this. It's like, this is what I want to do. I would love for you guys to be there. So either come with me or be upfront that you can't make it happen, which is like such good advice. Yeah. And I need to be a better friend about that too, because I'm the friend that's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, I don't think I could afford that. So I need to be a little more upfront about it too. But my last question for you, just last words of advice for this person. You've given them so many ways of finding trips and how to deal with difficult people on trips and just like your love for travel in general. But what advice do you want to give to this person that's nervous about planning this trip, but obviously can make it happen too?
Yeah, I would say my biggest thing would be plan the trip.
Yeah.
Plan it. I know like people think a lot of detail is like overwhelming, but as a very type B person, I love it, because I'm like, oh, like you got this. Like I just have to get in the car. Like I just have to be where you are. Like, you know what I mean? Like it makes it easier. You can be strategic on how you share the details though, because if I know that my friends are like, oh God, if they see that big total number, like that's going to be overwhelming for them. Yeah. I have a friend who like will like space out things and like book the hotel like this month, and then like for little things of like, oh, we're going to get tickets to this. Like
buy that later.
Yes. Yeah. And then by the time you get there, it almost feels like it's free.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, we paid for this months ago. Like, I don't even remember paying for some of this stuff. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Thank God. Like,
And less stress
so,
then.
Like, you can like space things out. You don't have to tell them that like this is this much and like make this whole big list. Yeah. But you can tell them individually if that helps. Like, hey, like the car is this much money. Like, we like this is the cheapest one I could find, or like whatever. Yeah, space it out always helps.
Smart.
It really. My friend did it to me.
Yeah,
and so that's how I was
stressed about the total.
I was like, oh my God, like it makes it so much easier to do that. Like it really does, and it is always hard to initially book the flight or like book the hotel, like if you're driving or whatever, Airbnb, like it is always hard to do that first step. I would also say to just start putting like things that make people excited. Like my friend knows we love Ben and Jerry's, so like going to the Ben and Jerry's like place, we were like, oh my God, let's
go. I'm not even worried about this total now. Like we're getting ice cream, little samples. Yes.
So like put those little things in that make them excited, that make you excited.
That's cute. I like that.
And then sometimes you have to be stern. You have to be like, hey guys, like I really would like to get this plan this week. Like if everyone can just like the message if they can go or like whatever. Yeah. Sometimes you have to do that and that's okay. Yeah. But I would just say plan the trip. Plan the trip. If you are type A and you enjoy that, totally do it. Get that Excel doc.
Get those tabs ready.
Yeah. And then that way, like you have a peace of mind. And then when you're telling all your friends, you can tell them all the fun, exciting things.
Exactly.
And then go into, okay, like here's the cost breakdown. Yeah. And we have 5 months to save up for it. Or like this, that, and the other. Yeah. Like it sucks to be that friend sometimes. But like just think about the trip.
Yes.
Like, you're going to have so much fun.
The memories are going to be amazing.
Yes.
And planning in advance. I think people think that they need to like plan a trip within a month or two, but it's like
Yes.
you can plan a trip for the next year so you're not so stressed about
Absolutely.
finances and just getting out of work and PTO all at once. Like you have
Yes.
some time to really plan for it, which is
And
great.
like you can put in your flight alerts,
Yeah.
like you can save, you can
So
do all
true.
these things. Like one of the biggest things that me and my friends do
Mhm.
is there's this app called Opportune.
Mhm.
I wish they would sponsor me. I was a strong advocate for them.
Guys,
I
you heard it
literally-
here.
I tell everyone about it, but it makes life easier for me
Mhm.
personally, but also trips. Like
Mm.
basically you link your bank account to this
Okay.
app, and I was very hesitant at first, but my friend's brother did it. So I
Okay.
felt a little better
Knowing
about,
there was like some people that
yes,
already
like it
tested it
wasn't
out a bit. Yeah.
something crazy.
Yeah.
But you like can make buckets for your
Mm.
goals. So like I would
Oh.
put in like Alaska trip, like
Yeah.
save $500. Like
Love.
I even do like some things, like I pay my car insurance once a year. I put
Yeah.
in car insurance.
Yeah.
It saves money by taking it out of your bank account every single
I
day.
need that.
Most time of
Yeah.
every day, but it's never taking out so much. Like you can set
You're like feel like you're missing it.
yes,
That's a really
and
good
like so it
idea.
starts saving up.
Yeah.
I like manually put in money into it,
Mhm.
but it's like in that little bucket. So it's like it goes into this little goal.
Yeah.
It does it automatically, but you can also
Love that.
do it manually.
Okay.
And not gonna lie, it's never reached the goal without me doing it manually, but it helps. It helps.
Yes.
And you don't miss that $14 that came out of your account
Yeah.
on a random Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like things like that. And so like you set
Hmm.
up those and you can start saving for a trip. And then it's like
That's a really
you have
good
that
advice.
extra money.
Yeah.
And it
yeah.
makes it a little bit easier than having this big chunk of money getting
Yes.
taken out of your account.
Yeah.
Or like things
that you're like
that.
immediately gonna see and immediately feel that anxiety
That, like,
about. But then you're
panic,
like
yeah.
before a trip, you're like, okay, now this can be like for all my food. I've been kind of like
Yes.
low key saving this.
And I don't feel
That's
bad
great.
about spending that money.
Yeah.
Because when it comes out of my bank account, I feel bad. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
I
I shouldn't
know.
have spent that. When it comes out of that, I'm like, oh, well, I saved for it.
Exactly. It's like cash at that point.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, it doesn't count.
It doesn't
Like,
count. Okay, we're just girls. It does not count.
Yes,
Aw.
it doesn't. So I like love that. And I think
Yeah.
that really helps with trips. Like,
Yes.
especially big trips that you know in advance of.
Mhm.
But even just like I made like a travel bucket.
Yeah.
And it just takes money and out of my
I-
account.
you
and
said
I can just
opportune. That's what
yeah.
it's called. Okay,
It's
I
like-
need that.
OPORTUN.
Okay.
It's like black and white
Love.
logo.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it.
Okay.
That is super helpful. Like
Okay.
me and my friends are like, okay, making an opportunity account. Like now that the trip is planned, like
We're set.
yes. So
Yes.
it makes it a little better. So that is always
Okay.
nice.
Opportune, you know where to sponsor her. And now
Yeah,
that you've
you know
heard
where to
this-
find me.
It's so good. But that's such good advice. Please, thank you so much for being here today. Plug all your social media, everything. You're amazing. I want people to check out all your amazing lifestyle content, travel stuff too. Where are you at? Where can the people find you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So all my social medias are _ Anokhi Patel. I'm mainly only on Instagram and TikTok. I don't ever post reels, but you'll see all the fun pictures on my Instagram. And on my TikTok, you'll see all the unhinged fun things. So
We need it.
yeah, that's really it.
All right. You guys know where to find her. Thank you so much for being here. This was
Thanks
such
for
a blast.
having
And wish us
me.
luck in our pickleball thing tomorrow too.
Yes.
Do not forget about that.
We have the playoffs.
The playoffs. And as always, guys, if you want advice on any topics like the one today and you want to hear from really cool guests, head to my advice forum on my website, www.unlicensedpodcast.com, or on my Instagram or TikTok at unlicensedadvice, and we will get an answer for you. But I love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Perfect. Good.
Bye.